Amendment 4 should be even more cause for skepticism, because if you read it, they don't define any of the terms that they're using in the amendment. And that's by design, because if you think about it, if you're going to do we should all agree on what the hell we're voting on, and nobody can agree on what you're voting on. You know, these amendments are supposed to be clear. They're not supposed to be deceptive or misleading. And if they are, then the Supreme Court, when they review it, is not supposed to put it on the ballot. And it was a 4-3 decision to put it on. So that was a big mistake. And so now you have this ill-defined, and they did that for a reason, because the whole idea is to try to jam this through with a blizzard of lies. The whole thing is built on fraud. It's built on fraud in a lot of the petitions that were allegedly signed. They've already uncovered a lot of fraud on that. And then to have this language that is not defined, you would never draft a piece of legislation without knowing what you're doing. But they did that on purpose, because these are all phrases that have been poll tested to try to create this impression with voters that somehow this is kind of an innocuous thing. And it really is anything but that. Now, it's important to kind of talk about and unpack what is actually in this amendment, because the people that are spending tens of millions of dollars, they're not talking about what's in their own amendment. They're not talking about any of that. They're just simply telling lies about Florida policies and law, and they are all lies. Everything you're seeing on the TV, that has just been their way to do it, to try to say you can't get health care, this, that, there's no exception for rape. It's all a bunch of lies, but that is part and parcel for this, which is a very deceptive amendment, and the whole thing is based on deceit. So it's important to say they don't want to talk about their own amendment. They want to basically focus on false things in Florida and say that should be a reason why you would vote for something like this. So what exactly would the amendment do? I think it's the first amendment in the history of Florida, if it were to pass, that would actually take away people's rights, because this eliminates the right for parents to consent for a minor to have an abortion. That's current law in Florida, that you have parental consent. And honestly, that is not anything that is unusual with respect to abortion. You can't prescribe, if you're a physician, you can't prescribe a Tylenol to a minor without the parent's consent. Anything that you would do, you would need the parent's consent. And I think most parents, that's how it should be. If a parent finds out they're getting stuff done without even knowing or consenting, that's not acceptable. Now, there's bait and switch on this provision too, because what it says on the ballot was there's nothing in the amendment that will prohibit notification of parents about a minor having an abortion. That is not the same as consent. They are rolling back consent and saying just telling a parent that there's an abortion is somehow the same as making the parent as having them have decision-making power. So they are taking away your rights as parents on this one thing. So, and look, I think as a parent, like if they're going to give you prescription medication, Tylenol, all that stuff, of course the parent should consent across the board. How is it appropriate that you would take parental consent away from abortion, which is a very serious thing to be happening, and take that away from parents? And so that is wrong, but it takes away rights of parents. And in Florida, we've worked hard to support the rights of parents across the board, on education, on all these different things that are so important. So there is a bait and switch on the way it was written. Notification is not consent, and you will absolutely have minors that undergo abortion without the parents consenting to it if this amendment passes, and that obviously is not good for parents.